Why are the donors not here? I think there are very good reasons why they're not here. And let me just give you two of those. First, it reflects their lack of appreciation, in many cases, of actually what ICT can really do for development. Let me give you an anecdote. I had the opportunity to be in a donor meeting where they were discussing the action plan, the strategy plan for the work that they were going to deliver in a country in Africa that I know quite well. A country that I know has a very impressive ICT strategy. And they were talking about how they were going to mainstream aid, how they were going to give budget support. And I raised the question of, what about the ICT strategy? Dead silence. And after the meeting, the senior economist there came up to me and said, "Tim, what is ICT?" That's a true story. Also, I remember many stories where senior education advisors and donors have told me over and over again that African schools need rooms, African children need textbooks, African children need pencils, and that what we are talking about here, what the 800 delegates from 80 countries are talking about, is actually not relevant. So we need to make that case. We all share a vision here, and it is our duty to go out and spread that vision and convince the donors that they should be involved. Or should they? Perhaps it is very positive that the donors are generally not here. One of the most exciting aspects of the work we are doing is that we are now hearing African voices telling the donors to go away if they are not willing to support African institutions, African policies, African processes. And so, hearing yesterday and the day before some of the exciting African initiatives, let us go and persuade the donors to sign up to those rather than imposing their wills from outside. Donors and others talk about partnerships as well. How often have you had a good partnership with a donor? How many people really understand how difficult it is to make effective partnerships work? Partnerships is something that rolls off the tongue. We all use the word. How many of us really invest substantial amounts of time in making those partnerships work? One of our very distinguished colleagues yesterday told of an African country where there are approximately 35 school nets operating. And that person said none of them talk to each other. If we believe in partnerships, and I do, I think partnerships are the only way we can make the things we dream about happening here work, we need to invest time in. So Europe is competitive. Where are the donors? And my final introductory point is about poverty and Africa. We hear a lot about poverty and Africa. We hear a lot about donors and others needing to give money to make Africa develop. I'm sure most of us have read Jeffrey Sachs' recent book. Africa is poor, isn't it? Africa suffers from malaria. Africa suffers from poor soils. Africa suffers because most of the population live a long distance from coastlines and trade is important. So the story goes, we need to double, treble the amount of aid given to Africa. 50 years of aid, and Africa is no richer than it was by the main indicators 50 years ago. So is more aid going to really make a difference? But, ladies and gentlemen, as your presence here shows, Africa is not poor. Africa has immense riches, it has mineral wealth, it has tremendous agricultural potential, but above all, Africa's potential is its people. That's why we are here. We are here to explore ways in which new technologies